والآن مع الورقة الثالثة يقدمها الدكتور ماكسيم سوتشكوف، وهو رئيس معهد الدراسات الدولية في جامعة ماجيمو روسيا. ورقة الدكتور ماكسيم بعنوان إعادة اكتشاف الهوية العربية في العالم الأرثوذكسي ونشر السلام. تفضل دكتور.
Thank you very much. Let me first thank the organizers for inviting me here. This is my first visit to Jordan, and I enjoyed every bit of it. And not just because of the amazing hospitality and the nature and cuisine, but also because of the people and the vibrant Arab Christian community that I have experienced over the past days. I apologize for speaking in English because I don't speak Arabic, but I'll try to be concise and hope my colleagues interpreters will guide me through that. In fact, I think the experience and what I've seen here over the past 2 days have been so transformative that it made me reconsider some of the initial things that I was going to say at this conference. It turns out that I'm the only political scientist in this panel of historians, so I'll take a slightly different angle at the issues we've been talking about and perhaps put some context of why everything we discussed yesterday and are discussing today is so important as I saw it. When I was preparing for the conference, I looked at some of the contemporary literature on Arab identity, and what I saw was different academic works on how Arabs have been perceived since the medieval times, dominantly as warriors and bearers of Islamic faith. I then asked a few AI models the same question, and it gave me the same answer and the same perception. I then looked at some of the Russian works on the same issue, and basically asking who are the Arabs, and it gave me an answer that Russia has 3 major sources of perception of Arabs. One that derives from historical clashes with peoples in the Russia's immediate neighborhood who have been under the influence of Islamic faith and traditions. The second source of perception is Russia's perception of Arabs through mass culture that has both positive and negative connotations. The positives being kind of romanticized brave men who live in the deserts, and the negative ones mostly associated with modern-day stereotypes in the context of terrorist activity in the region. And the third source is tourism, and that perception is mostly positive, but also limited to countries where most Russian tourists go to, which is Egypt and UAE. And then I realized that none of that is relevant, because all of that talks about an image and not an identity. And those are incredibly different concepts, because an image is an external dimension of the representation of peoples or ethnic religions, whereas identity is much more deep, profound, multi-layered internal dimension of this representation. And everyone, of course, has an opinion of what an Arab is based on certain set of stereotypes and images. And it's easy, but it's also dangerous because it enshrines certain behavior patterns and prevents people from wanting to understand the drivers of identity. It struck me personally, the things that I've heard yesterday and today of how the local Arab Christian community sees it, that it first was Arab, what Madam Moderator reiterated today, and then Christian, and then came Islam, and there is this incredibly complicated multi-layered identity. And of course, this is much more complex phenomenon based on personal stories, experience, and values that each individual and community has. And the challenge from here, I think, is how you make use of this identity for the broader Orthodox world and for promoting peace in the Middle East. Well, we all know that the Christian world is very complicated and fairly divided, and that our Orthodox world is also a mosaic of different approaches, traditions, and policies on faith. And in over more than 2,000 history, Christians have gone through multiple challenges and tests. But in the 21st century, we often see the often targeted policies of de-Christianization in places where Christianity was born. And clearly, the challenges target all creeds and faith, not just the Christians and the Muslims and peoples of other faiths and cultures. But the statistics on the Christians have been particularly stark. And according to Moscow Patriarch Office, the number of Christians in Iraq fell 10 times over 12 years. And in Libya, only a handful of Christians are now in place, whereas in the past it was over 100,000 members. And what does it tell us, and how is that echoes with everything that colleagues have talked about? I think that the problem with this, the Christian community is diminishing, is that with that, a fragile religious balance in the region that has been shaping up for centuries is in dismay and is being upset, opening way for more conflicts and social and economic turmoil. And the ancient cultural heritage in the region is in danger because of that. And there is appreciation and understanding of that in some of the countries, such as here in Jordan, but little appreciation, especially for outsiders. And when outsiders dictate some policies for the region, it seems like there is no understanding of how this very fragile balance is shaped in the region, and how groups such as Arab Christians are important to preserving this balance. So in that sense, I think it is every reason for governments, national and especially foreign, to pay attention to this matter, if not for humanitarian reasons, then only for pure pragmatic reasons. Because again, it is about the conflict potential of the region. And it's especially responsibility for us as intellectuals to explain the urgency of this matter. And I think this is exactly what the conference has been good for, because it brings a light to some of the important matters to the Arab Christian community. Because the lack of appreciation of problems and aspirations that the Arab community has have the role they play in the finest composition of societies in the region, and their importance for peace promotion lead to disregard of their interests, and that they left out from the major problem-solving issues, and left on their own, and that get exterminated or squeezed out from the regional land. So I think the topics that historians cover and the scriptures we discussed yesterday are very important, because this is a direct segue to not just science and not just to humanities, but just for real life problem solving, because it brings light to some of the aspirations that the Arab Christian community lives on today. And I want to end with an anecdote with the three friends who ended up in a tunnel, and one being an optimist and saying, "Well, guys, no worries, we'll make it through. I see the end at the light. I see the light at the end of the tunnel." The other one being pessimist, saying, "No, we're all going to die. There is no light at the end of the tunnel." And the third one being realist says, "Guys, I'm sorry for interrupting your discussion on the light at the end of the tunnel, but there is a train coming from behind, and we might want to get crushed by this train." So I think as Christians, we have faith in the light at the end of the tunnel, and we also realize that most of the way we have to walk in the dark. But as members of our communities who live here and now, we must make others aware of the challenges we face, and explain how this is not just our problem, but everyone's problem. So again, I say it perhaps for the third time, that's why I believe the things that we're talking about today are incredibly important. And I want to thank the organizers for coming up with this incredible initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you دكتور ماكسيم. نشكر الدكتور ماكسيم على هذه المداخلة التي ركز فيها على الفرق بين الصورة والهوية، وأشار فيها إلى ضرورة الوجود المسيحي الذي يحقق التوازن في تشكيل الهوية العربية.